Good afternoon, everyone. I would need my clicker here, so if I can just get the clicker, that'll be perfect. Thank you so much. Apologies for a few minutes late here. I was just doing a press and analyst meeting, but thank you for joining. So today morning, hopefully you got to attend the keynote, and we spoke about the innovations which we are doing with full-stack observability. So today I'm going to spend a little bit more time showing you, double-click on it, and we have some really cool demo. And then Petek is going to join me on the stage to kind of double-click on more morning what we were speaking about. So if you realize, applications are the front door for your digital stores. Like the way you have store managers for your physical brick-and-mortar stores, your IT team is actually the store manager for your digital assets. It's basically doesn't mean that it's only used for buying a pizza, but it's also used for a lot of critical functions. So it has become super critical for us and for you all to help deliver that flawless digital experience. And just to sort of understand the state of art or state of affair, we kind of surveyed our customers across Cisco. And in fact, 80% of them suggested that they really struggle to deliver that flawless digital experience. 56% of them, they said, they have somewhere between 10 and 140 tools. Just think about it. And that's just for monitoring, not even counting the security tools. So clearly, this tool sprawl causes frictions amongst the teams. And more importantly, it's a siloed way of looking at the asset from application perspective. And 2/3 of you actually already came to the conclusion that the right way to solve this is to bring the data, unify the data. And so this is where we are really focused on it, saying how do we work to solve those problems around tool sprawl, reducing the friction, bring the data together. But if you look at it the observability perspective, not having the right set of the observability, from a different buying persona perspective, this is where it matters. For C-suites, it's clearly revenue impact, is the brand, if you don't have the right set of observability tools. From your CIOs, it's about digital experience. It's about working with your business partners to make sure that you're meeting their desired goals on the business. From an IT team perspective, clearly, it's tool sprawls, frictions, silos, war rooms, right? So those things will be a problem from a persona perspective. So we at Cisco, when we look at the full-stack observability, and we define this in the morning, right? We're really trying to bring different domains together to help you understand the full landscape of applications. But in reality, where does your journey start if you want to start from a full-stack observability? We strongly believe that it needs to start from understanding the applications. So having a great APM tool, which is application performance monitoring tool, is the right place to start. Because once you understand the applications, once you understand the transactions for the applications, you can quickly start to map that into networking or security. And so we spoke about this in the morning where we said we're bringing networking, security, applications. Some of the other components which we look at it is multi-cloud, infrastructure, right? So we're looking at all of these dependent components, bring the telemetry together, unify that data. Remember, we talked about siloed view of the data. Here we are bringing this telemetry together to really get you that end-to-end understanding of what's happening. And we took the use case approach, right? So one way to build a platform was to just unify the data, do a big data dump. But then you know what happens? The cost to you goes up through the roof because you're just ingesting so much data. So instead of doing just the pure data dump, what we did was to really look at the use cases, jobs to be done, problems to be solved, and bring only the right set of telemetry into the platform, hence reducing the cost, and those benefits, we pass it down to our customers. So we looked at those 7 or 8 use cases, which we continue to talk about it. And we talked about this last year when we were here. And in fact, all of these are available. And if you get a chance, please do go and visit our show floor here. There are some really amazing demos available. It makes it real for how you can use this in your environment. To show you a little bit more detail about our observability platform, and this has been now shipping for around 6 to 7 months, we anchored around open telemetry. For some of you who may not know, OpenTelemetry is the second most popular project in CNCF, which is the Cloud Native Foundation. This is where Kubernetes is developed, right? So think about it, second most popular project. And so what is happening is state of the art, again, when it came to application performance monitoring, agents, private and proprietary agents was the way to go. Using something like OpenTelemetry allows you to sort of not be tied together to a vendor, right? So we sort of, we've talked about this open being a theme, API-driven being a theme across all the platforms. And so we made sure that we follow that OpenTelemetry standard to the fullest. In fact, all our pipeline are built around OpenTelemetry. And these are the set of use cases which we talked about, right? So things which are in blue are delivered by Cisco. We already built it, we're delivering it from Cisco engineering team. But the pills in the yellow are modules as a sample developed by our partners. And I talked about 24 modules in 6 months, right? Almost a module a month, a module a week. So amazing pace of innovation, and that comes because of the extensibility. So let me double click on what we mean when we say extensibility. If you look at it, the app stores or Android's Play Store, right? They allow, or most of the other vendors' app stores, they allow to use the northbound API. What we've done it is, we've been allowing ability for our partners to drop in their components, their program into our platform, run it safely and securely. We are allowing them to extend the model which we have developed. So for example, if you have VMware environment and running Kubernetes inside, what's the sort of relationship between those infrastructure components? But if our partner wants to extend that, they're able to easily extend it. They're able to easily extend the UI. They're able to provide new set of APIs, right? So the extensibility is, there is an 8 degree of extensibility which we provide. And this is where the magic happens. This is where our partners are able to do rapid innovations. So this was the fundamental construct for us to sort of build not only the platform, but build the applications and enable our partners. Because as you know, tool sprawl, right? We at Cisco have expertise in certain set of segments. Not all. Our partners and some of your customers operate in a different verticals, and we want to just open up the ecosystem. So instead of spending time on a whole bunch of modules, what I wanted to do was really talk about 2 use cases which are really landing well with our customers. And those are around digital experience monitoring and business risk observability. So I'm going to take the first one, which is my favorite use case, which is around business risk observability. This is where we are bringing the security and application insight together. And the way we sort of went about was, if you look at your applications, you may have thousands of applications. Monitoring each of those applications' security assessment is sort of hard. You want to have one single score so you can watch how your business risk is happening across your fleet of application. And that's basically where what we did was took each application score and sort of came up with a formula to come up with a total business risk score for your estate. So you're watching this score on a daily basis, and if it is basically, some of the inputs are vulnerabilities in your applications. API security posture. Are you using the right encryption when your applications are calling the APIs? Are your application accessing some of the bad actors who are out there, right? So a lot of those sort of gives as an input when we come up with the business risk or business score for application. So we really come up with this business score, and our goal is your observability operator can look at the score and saying, if we found new vulnerabilities today, your business risk would go, and you double click on it, and you can know exactly why your business risk score went up. So this is where we are really working together. And to just achieve some of the things, capability which I'm talking about, you would need at least 5 or 6 different tools. Tools like, of course, App Dynamics, but tools like Kena Security, tools like Talos, tools like Panoptica. And think about it having 4 different or 5 different consoles to achieve what you have been able to achieve by consolidating those telemetry. And this is where the power is. When you bring the data together, you start to get some of the insights which are really hard to get it if you had disparate tools. So that's basically where we are focused on it. This use case is available now for your hybrid applications, which are your legacy 3 tiers application, or if it is cloud native. Irrespective of what kind of application environment is, you're able to monitor from a vulnerability perspective, security perspective. But we are adding more capabilities in here. So if you look at it from a data security perspective, the state of the art on data security is do not allow access to the data, right? You put firewall rules, et cetera, to not allow access to the data. But the modern approach of doing data security is to really look at the access pattern in top of it, who has the access to it, right? So you may have a user who typically accesses few tables in your Snowflake, but he or she has a permission to access thousands of tables. Maybe your financial data, maybe some of your employee information, maybe some of the PII data. And most of the time, if you look at it, we apply AI here to understand what's the user's behavior. What are the things which that user does it? Looks at, operates on few tables, copies it onto S3 bucket, and that's basically where he finishes his work. So we monitor each user who's accessing those instances and sort of understand their behavior. If we see system sees the deviation to that behavior, we are immediately able to raise the alert to saying, this user typically doesn't access this particular table, but it does access this, right? And this is the case in where if you had somebody doing exfiltration by hacking a user, and I know Jeetu spoke about this, but understanding if there is a data leakage happening, typically if you know, it takes 270 days before you even realize somebody was leaking and siphoning the data, right? So once you realize, to understand how the data leakage happened is another big problem, right? So why this capability, we are able to give you the capability for you to understand what was attack path, which user was compromised, what data was compromised, and we are also making you predictive and proactive, wherein if the user doesn't need the permission, we can also recommend the permissions. So today we are supporting Snowflake and S3 buckets. We'll expand this to Databricks and other solutions. The second use case is around, let me click on this, to digital experience monitoring. And digital experience monitoring is really trying to help you understand how to deliver that end-to-end experience. And if you look at your applications, your users are coming from all over the place, right? They're coming from mobile devices, browser, to a coffee shop nearby, or from their office. They have a big internet in the middle before they hit and access your applications. And some of those applications, in fact, are doing API calls, maybe for payment gateway, right? If you are, for example, e-commerce vendor, to do the transaction, you may be doing a payment gateway by Stripe or other provider. So you need to understand the behavior of all of those components. This is where we paid a lot of attention and brought in the right set of insight from all of those components. And that's basically what we call a digital experience monitoring. And at Cisco, not only we are able to help you with digital experience monitoring for your end users who are accessing or your customers who are accessing your applications, but we are also able to help you with your employees' experience. And that's how we talk about digital experience monitoring. So it's employee experience as well as your customer's experience. And if you look at it, ThousandEyes and Exedience, these are the two products which we have it on our networking. So ThousandEyes, for some of you who are not familiar, provides a great set of insights in the internet. Exedience does exactly the same thing for your private network. If you have dark fiber, if you have your private links, they are able to provide you that kind of insights. So what we've done it is, as part of our observability platform and app dynamics, we brought it in those insights together to give you end-to-end understanding from an internet perspective. We spoke about session replay, right? This is an ability for you to understand your end users recording, masking of the PII data. And this is unbelievably powerful capability because you can see the rage clicks where customers are trying to click on some buttons and nothing is working, right? And we tie that together with internet problem or application problem. We didn't spend much time on this, but just to kind of level set, cloud costs are a big problem for our customers. Most of the people ran to the cloud, deployed a whole bunch of applications without realizing the implications of it. When the bill comes in, that's when people are starting to pay attention. And what we've done it is, side by side from your application visibility perspective, we are actually able to give you the cost of tier of your applications. We are also able to show you how much each team is consuming from a cloud cost perspective. We are also able to show you what is the potential opportunity for you to save the cost, right? And if you wish so, we can actually optimize it, right? So it's a full cycle, providing the visibility, giving you the insight in terms of how much you could save, and then if you wish so, we can actually implement those changes and save the cost. Sustainability is a big initiative in this region. understanding the CO2 emission for your application is built into this dashboard, right? It's not a new product, not a new UI. It's built by side with your application visibility. Some of the upcoming innovations, and again, we have sessions for a lot of this, so just take an opportunity to go and attend if you are interested. AIOps is something which we are going GA, right? Here are the components which we are ingesting the telemetry so that we can correlate those events to really help you reduce your mean time to detect and mean time to repair. Cisco AppDynamics, Thousand Eyes, VMware ecosystems, Catalyst, ServiceNow are all sort of supported today. And as you can see, we will continue to expand this beyond what you have seen it up. This is so powerful when people see this. It gives and helps them integrating with ServiceNow, managing the incidents. And I think when outages happen, the first question we all ask is, what changed? What were the events, right? So that we can quickly narrow down the problem. This module has a built-in AI to understand what's a noise versus what's real, right? And it's able to bubble up those so that you can really pay attention to what matters and what is important for you to take action. I spoke about Gen AI. Ability to monitor LLM usage by your application is available. And we are actually adding natural language interface. Everywhere you can enter the query language, you can actually sort of communicate, like, show me errors for this particular application, which happened in last 10 minutes, and find out this service if it belongs to that error. Things like that you can ask, and I think it makes it super easy for your level 1 operator to become really, really smart. And then Gen AI, from an AI assistant perspective, is something which we are actively working on it, and we will actually go live by summer of this year, and we will go preview in the March. So if you are interested, please do come by and then sign up with us, and we can, of course, work with you to show you some of this capability. I'm not going to do a demo of this because we are running a little bit tight on the time. But if you're interested, just stop by and then we can double click on it. The next innovation, which is I'm super excited, is around eBPF. eBPF is called Extended Berkeley Packet Filter. We talked about agents. You have agents for Java, you have agents for .NET, you have agent for Ruby. eBPF is a capability which sits in Linux kernel, and you do not need agent for a particular language. It's generic enough, which allows you the visibility from a networking perspective on what processes are talking to what. Are you seeing TCP timeouts or not, right? Really powerful capability. Again, we are going GA this week on this one. Demo available in the booth as well. So just to make it real, I want to invite Renato, who is my chief demo officer here, to showcase with digital experience monitoring, how we are bringing those different tools together. So Renato, come on the stage, please. All right, thank you very much. All right, so are you ready to go?
Yep, ready to go.
All right, so what are we going to show today?
So we're going to show digital experience monitoring, more importantly, how people go from understanding the user behavior and the problems they're facing, all the way to the root cause of what that problem could be. Right?
All right.
So when you land in DEM, you're going to go into the alerts page. That's what you want to do when you're looking at your users. And we can see an increase in the alerts here. So let's take a look at the alerts. I see the alerts here, and at the top of it, based on the impact, how many users are being impacted by the problem, we reduce the events so you can focus only on the things that matter. And we got one here saying Core Web Vitals. That's the one we have a problem now.
Yeah, so Core Web Vital is a Google way of search ranking your property.
Correct.
So it's super critical for you to make sure it's good.
Exactly. Not only your users judge you now, but Google also judges you.
That's right.
So let's click here. And when I go into it, I can see exactly what the metric is. And I can understand what are the users spread across Europe, what are the problems they're facing. So here I can see that we captured actually 925 of those users' behavior. So we can look at what they were experiencing when the problem happened. So I'm going to click on that. Now I see the list of sessions. I'm going to open the session on the top. And then I can see here right live the user going at it. And you can see the application slows down. It doesn't respond.
This is our session recording capability.
Exactly. And as you can see here also, the session recording capability looks at the data, and if there is PII data, it redacts it out immediately. So it has AI capability to look at it and remove the things that are important. So if I scroll down, I can see the mark here on my network resources page. And then scrolling down, I can actually see that I'm pulling resources, and there is an AJAX call that's getting an issue. If I click on the issue here, we are correlating data across the EM and APM. So we're monitoring the APM services on the back, and we see that there is a problem with services that support this web. So I'm going to click and see details. Then I'm now on an APM alert, completely integrated, and I can basically see the path.
Whole service graph, yeah.
What all of the services impacted and who is being impacted it. And if there is, of course, I want to go further, and if I have the ability to, I can go to remediation and immediately jump into the logs capability, the spans, the traces, see everything that's going on.
That's super amazing by bringing these different tools. The kind of insight, I mean, this would have taken you orders of hours.
It would.
We were able to kind of narrow it down in a short span of few minutes.
Exactly.
This is amazing capability, and I'm sure you will see a lot more capability on the demo floor. Thank you very much, Renato, for your help. So, you heard from Renato how good when we bring the tool sets and a data perspective. And Patek was there this morning with us talking about how HSBC is driving this full stack observability at HSBC, really to deliver that flawless digital experience. So let's spend more time with Patek and kind of think about how they are solving this problem. Patek, come on over the stage, and thank you for joining again here with me.
Thank you.
All right.
Second time in a day you have
Yes.
me. Thanks for having me.
All right. So Patek doesn't need an introduction. HSBC doesn't need an introduction. But if you just look at it from an insights perspective in terms of what you're trying to do, like really get into the details of it here, can you talk about ownership perspective? And I think you have a new role at this point, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the secret I'll share, Patek was the one who planted seed for me to take this role. So thank you, Patek.
Yes.
That's why I'm here. And,
yes, for everyone's benefit, Ronak and I, we know each other for a few years now. In my current role and my previous role as well, just a brief introduction. I head up the service management for HSBC globally. And I took that role recently. Before that, I was the global head of telecommunications. So, we've been discussing around, observability and how we actually scale a solution up that works for an enterprise like HSBC. We're fairly large and complex. So, in my previous role, of course, observability was very relevant. But with the new role, my interest goes beyond the telecom estate. And hopefully, if you managed to join this morning's keynote, we touched briefly in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. But really, over many years, we have adopted many tools that is from Cisco as well. Of course, we looked at adoption of App Dynamics, Thousand Eyes, Splunk, and many others. We do have a fairly busy estate in terms of what we leverage for monitoring and alerting. But ultimately, where we're trying to get to is to really have this unified view, because we realize that we have capabilities for the network, capabilities for the application layer. Ronak and I, we talked about how we get these tools much integrated. But when you think about a bank like HSBC, and you really put the customer lens a little bit as well, we need, when we say full stack, we really mean full stack. I'll give an example if that's okay.
Yes,
kind
please.
of taking a little longer than maybe expected to answer, but let's assume obtain a mortgage as one of our important business services. So how do you see the health state of that particularly important business? So there are IT services that make up this offering from the bank's perspective. So we call that IT service chain maps. That is what I was referencing to this morning at the keynote as well. And then there's the underlying infrastructure, of course, this IT service chain relies on. So when we say full stack, we talk about really all the way from infrastructure to service chain, all the way to the service that the customer really sees on their devices. So we're looking to really unify. It's no longer good enough to know what's happening in the network, what's happening in the application, but really unify that observability for that chain so that we truly understand the user experience. Let's say obtain a mortgage, what's the user experience leveraging or using that important business service for the bank?
No, it's super critical in this age when it's a boardroom metrics. I'm sure you are all sort of really focused on it. So customer experience is critical for success of your brand and business success. In what ways, if you can enlighten our audience here, full stack observability contributes to this important aspect? Kind of how you're bringing it together, different tool sets.
Yes, I mean, as I mentioned, important business service. So a little bit touch again, it may feel like a repeat from the morning, but operational resilience for us is a top priority as a bank. I said again in this morning as well, having the trust with our customers, with our regulators. So there's no surprises that observability plays a pivotal role in this context, because it really underpins everything. It gives us much better insights in terms of really understanding what might be contributing positively or negatively to our customer experience. So for that reason, it's really important. And we did adopt tools like AppDynamics and Thousand Eyes. But one thing I guess I want to call out, there's so many tools you can have, unify them and provide observability. But one of the really important things, like with Thousand Eyes, for example, the power of such tools is that it doesn't only give you a visibility to your immediate environment, but deeper into the internet. Right, so we have adopted Thousand Eyes quite a while ago. We started our journey with deployment of that across our data centers. We have cloud-hosted agents, we have data center agents. So we're running a lot of synthetic tests around our environment. And what we have noticed is that some of our partners, our third-party networks, are experiencing degraded service, and they don't even realize. And we actually detected this using Thousand Eyes, and we were able to notify them, and therefore, they could do advertising their routes through their peering partners, etc. They actually were able to stabilize and restore the service pretty quickly after us notifying them. So it really helps us work much more closely. And why that is important is because internet is becoming much of our backbone now. And we are adopting more and more third-party services. In particular, SaaS, cloud is a big driver. Adoption of cloud is a big driver. So it's no longer it's the enterprise network and that's it, but actually this ecosystem is becoming much more complex. So leveraging tools like Thousand Eyes gives you a deeper insight to the internet and really helps to deal with that challenge in a much more effective way.
Yeah, no, and I think this is also sort of helping your network ops and application ops teams to work together, saying, quickly triage and figure it out, whether it's in your network or it's in the internet, whether it's in your application or it's the problem is somewhere else.
Exactly. I mean, to give you an example, mobile banking app, right? We did integrate AppDynamics with Thousand Eyes. It's fully integrated, and we're able to detect an alert when we are seeing any degradations. And when I say degradation, this is not like just a complete outage. Of course, we are seeing latency, jitter, and all sorts of other measures, and that sometimes contribute to what we call the intermittent issues at the application layer that the customer faces. So we're able to actually pick up those intermittent issues much more effectively now.
And Patek, when we were talking yesterday, you kind of shared some of the success stories with your full-stack observability journey. Would you mind sharing that with our audience?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll give a couple of examples, if that is okay. One is, not everything is obviously customer-facing. We're also using applications internal that are critical for the productivity of the wider workforce. And, especially during COVID periods with the hybrid working, and it's still the case for international companies like HSBC, video conferencing picked up significantly. So when I look at our backbone traffic, more than 50% is video. So everybody relies on video conferencing regardless. So one of the things we did, again, similar to the mobile banking application example, we integrated, again, AppDynamics with Thousand Eyes. And we had cases where we detected a pattern that was clearly heading towards a significant outage, but we were able to detect this well ahead on time and really take the remedial action to prevent any significant outage. So we do use these cases to prevent outages, which I touched on very briefly during the morning session as well. Another thing that we did, again, I touched on, we have a fairly large international network across our estate. So very large data center footprint HSBC has. We operate across more than 50 plus markets. And actually calls out here 62 markets, to be more precise. So we do provide a lot of connectivity of our markets to where the applications are back to our data centers. So that is carried over our international network in the backbone. So it has a significant importance, right? One of the things that we do is that we also look at the health state of our backbone, leveraging Thousand Eyes and other telemetry that is available from the environment. And you would be familiar, if you're engineers in the industry, sick but not dead, right?
Yes.
We all hate that scenario. When it's a complete outage, it's easier to deal with. But when it is a degraded issue, it's a significant problem to detect. So we leverage Thousand Eyes, again, to detect these cases. And we couple that with our automation capability. So when we detect that degradation level, we auto-fail over to the healthier links on our backbone to really make sure that the service is fully available at all times. And that was a significant improvement for the service quality at the time as well.
Yeah, no, I think really helping you become predictive, proactive is where you're sort of headed towards.
Yeah.
And I know you've done a ton of work, and we have a lot
There are
of
more
things
examples, but a
Yeah.
few to perhaps to call out in this.
Yeah, no, and so we'll be around here if you have more questions, and we are happy to spend some few more minutes, because we are over time here. But thank you for coming by. Thank you, Patek, for
Thanks
joining me
having.
on a couple
Pleasure.
of sessions.
Pleasure.
And thank you so much. So just the last thing, right? Just think about it with the full stack, what it can do for your environment. So let's spend this week some time together and understand how we can work with you to really help you on your observability journey. With that, I'm going to be here till Sunday morning, so you can catch me and we can spend some more time talking about observability. Thank you very much for coming by, and have a great Cisco Live.